Hello, and welcome to the 2014 Graduate Welcome Ceremony. My name is Andrew Goretzky, and I am the Director of the Graduate Distance and Professional Student Experience in the Center for Student Engagement, as well as a fellow graduate student, as I'm a doctoral student in the Graduate School of Education and Human Development. It is my pleasure to welcome all of our new graduate students, their families and guests who are here today, as well as those who will be watching this ceremony online. I would also like to extend a warm welcome to all of our administrators, deans, and faculty who are here today. Today's ceremony marks the beginning of your graduate career at the George Washington University. You have all come to GW via different pathways, and you now have a challenging new road ahead of you. But the road will be paved with many exciting opportunities and countless only at GW moments. As you sit here today and listen to stories and advice from current graduate students and university leaders, take a moment to relax and be inspired by what they have to say to you. Our hope is that in hearing how others have made the most of their GW experience, you will feel empowered to do the same. I want to personally wish you success, and I look forward to working with you over the next few years. It is my pleasure to introduce the first of our two graduate student speakers. Nikhil Gahani is originally from West Bloomfield, Michigan, and attended Michigan State University, where he earned a Bachelor of Arts in Marketing. Nikhil is earning a Master's in International Development Studies within the Elliott School of International Affairs, with an anticipated graduation date of May 2015. While completing his studies, Nikhil has interned at Ensight Capital, worked as the social media editor of the International Affairs Review, and serves as a graduate student ambassador for the Elliott School for International Affairs. Please join me in welcoming Nikhil to the stage.
First of all, welcome to GW. My name is Nikhil Gahani, and I'm a current student at the Elliott School of International Affairs, working towards my master's in international development. But just over a year ago, I was a brand strategist at an advertising agency in Detroit. And honestly, I loved my job. It was challenging, fast-paced, collaborative, and creative. But by far the best part was the fact that they had beer and wine fridges in our office. It was amazing. But even with all the booze, I still wasn't satisfied. I wanted something else, something more. I wanted to find greater purpose, not for anyone else, but for myself. I knew that if I stayed there, I would eventually come to regret not at least taking a chance. I would regret the fact that I had settled. Now, when I was 4, visiting India, I witnessed injustice for the first time. There, staring me in the eyes while my father carried me, was another boy, probably also 4, but in tattered clothing and begging for money. It wasn't fair. I knew that, even as a 4-year-old. Yet it still took me 24 years to stop making excuses and to do something about it. So, last year, I took a chance. I quit my job, I moved here to DC, and I gave GW a bunch of my money. Yet I had no idea what I was getting myself into. I was taking a huge risk, leaving behind a comfortable career, a good salary, and most of my friends and my family. But the motivating factor for me was that I was refusing to settle. I was taking a chance on my dream career. I was taking a chance on finding a true sense of purpose. So last summer, I get here, and everyone's talking about interning at these major agencies. We go on site visits to these prestigious institutions. But still, for some reason, these places just don't excite me. They don't intrigue me. It's not what I'm looking for. Instead, I joined a startup impact investing firm with no money, 2 employees, and a couple of chairs in a basement office in Adams Morgan. Suffice it to say, my mother was horrified. Yet 1 year later, I have absolutely no regrets. I witnessed some amazing people launching their dream organization, and I got to be a part of that, learning about impact investing and starting your own company and taking bold action to help others. It gave me the confidence I needed to continue my own pursuit of purpose and meaning, and it's all because I refused to settle for just an okay experience. By enrolling here at GW, you've shown that you aren't willing to settle either, and that's great. But as you go through what will simultaneously be the shortest and longest few years of your lives, keep that in mind. Don't ever settle. Go after exactly what it is that you want to do, what you want to learn, and what you want to experience. Don't settle for what everyone else is doing. Find an internship or a job that excites and challenges you. Take classes outside of your field to broaden your thinking. If you don't agree with a professor, don't settle because they have a few extra letters at the end of their name. Push back and challenge them. Challenge your classmates. Debate, discuss. Don't settle for a good enough answer. Instead, take risks and try something different. That's what this experience is supposed to be about. You could learn a lot by Googling the things you don't know or signing up for free classes on Coursera, but you've come to GW for something more. You've come here because you refuse to settle for just an okay educational experience. So now that you are here, don't. By not settling, we can expand our minds, we can create opportunities we never considered before, and we can change the trajectory of our lives and potentially the lives of others. So, in sum, take risks, try new and different things, and go out and diversify your thinking and your perspective, but never, ever settle. Thank you, and good luck.
Thank you, Nikhil. It is now my pleasure to introduce our second student speaker. Jonathan McGee is originally from Chicago, Illinois, and attended Western Illinois University, where he earned a Bachelor of Arts in Political Science and Law Enforcement and Justice Administration. Jonathan is earning a Master's in Political Management within the Graduate School of Political Management, with an anticipated graduation date of May 2015. While completing his studies, Jonathan works as a program associate for the Partnership for Public Service, a nonprofit that works to revitalize the federal government. Please join me in welcoming Jonathan to the stage.
Greetings, faculty, staff, and students. It is an honor and a privilege to have the opportunity to give remarks for the 2014 Graduate Welcome Ceremony. My name is Jonathan McGee, and I'm currently a graduate student pursuing a master's degree in the Graduate School of Political Management. Growing up on the south side of Chicago, I witnessed firsthand injustices that plagued underprivileged communities, much like the one that I grew up in. I watched his family struggle not only to make ends meet, but also for the opportunity to acquire the American dream. As a child, I did not fully understand the impact and implications of the insurmountable challenges families in my community faced, but what I did understand is that everyone, no matter their circumstances, should have the opportunity to succeed. It is this philosophy and personal narrative that would cause me to develop a deep appreciation and understanding of the importance of exercising my civic duty to contribute to the betterment of our country, and ultimately fuel my passion for public service. George Washington once said, "Knowledge is the surest basis of public happiness." It is this fundamental principle that led me to pursue a graduate degree at GW. I knew if I wanted to advocate for those whose voices may not be heard and fight for change that protects the basic rights of all citizens, I needed to gain the knowledge, experiences, and skills that only a graduate degree from GW could provide. I can think of no better place than GW to prepare me to confront this daunting and formidable task. As a graduate student at GW, I have been exposed to and worked with some of the world's most innovative and renowned educators. Seated in the nation's capital, GW has given me access to global professional networks that will serve as lifelong resources. My most transformational experience in the GSPM has been my role as the Student Association Vice President. It afforded me the opportunity to personally help provide professional development, social networking, and maximize overall engagement between our school and my colleagues. Once you embark on your journey as new colonials, it is imperative that you build relationships with your fellow classmates. Facilitate constructive ties with professors to maximize your educational experience, and sharpen your leadership skills to become effective problem solvers. Now that you are graduate students at GW, you embody the core values of this university, ideals like community, diversity, and service. As our newest class of graduate students, I urge you all to uphold the GW standard of excellence. Embrace your role as the next generation of innovative leaders. And when the challenges come and you begin to feel weary, remember the heart of a little boy from the inner city of Chicago who dared to dream so big, to hope so deep, that despite the obstacles, he would be able to stand in solidarity with you as a member of the GW family. Let that heartbeat inspire, motivate, and drive you to continue to be the trailblazers and change agents for a better tomorrow. Welcome, graduate class of 2014.
Thank you, Jonathan. It is now my pleasure to introduce Dr. Stephen Lerman, Provost of the University. Dr. Lerman joined the George Washington University from the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, where he served as Vice Chancellor and Dean for Graduate Education. He began his academic career at MIT as a student, earning a Bachelor of Science and Master of Science in Civil Engineering and a PhD in Transportation Systems Analysis. At GW, Dr. Lerman holds the A. James Clark Chair in Civil and Environmental Engineering. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Stephen Lerman to the stage.
Well, thank you, and let me add my welcome, of course, to all the others you'll receive. As the provost of the university, I get to do a lot of welcomes, and I, of course, welcome our incoming undergraduate students. And when I speak to them, I usually make the not always true presumption that most of them are what we would call traditional undergraduate students. That is, a place like GW, the vast majority of our students are coming to us pretty much directly from high school. Sometimes some of them they've taken a year off, some of them haven't. We certainly do have some number of adult, who are returning students, but by and large, the undergraduate body has this sort of tendency to be predominantly what I would call traditional learners. You as graduate students, of course, are quite different. Some of you are coming to us right from your undergraduate education. Some of you have been out in the workforce. Some of you are returning veterans. Some of you are coming to study for a change of career. Some of you are planning your first career. Some of you are inspired by the events in your life or by others to have pursuing some passion that you acquired either in school or out of school. You really are a much more diverse bunch, frankly, and of course, whatever I say is likely to have more or less relevance to you depending on what your path was to become a graduate student. I thought I'd say just a few things. Some of you are here for what we would normally think of as professional programs. You have pretty specific goals. Your programs are actually relatively structured. We do a wonderful job of that. One of our core strengths at GW is the strengths of our professional programs across many different diverse disciplines. Others of you are here in doctoral programs, often PhD programs. Often these are far less structured. You'll be doing original research. Most of your faculty will have had similar educational experiences to the ones that you were experiencing. For you, I think the best piece of advice I have is you need to build a different relationship with your faculty than was characterized by your undergraduate education. Doctoral research, by its very nature, is a transitional process in which you move from being a student of a faculty member to being a colleague of that faculty member. The truth is, if you've chosen your dissertation wisely, your advisor has no more idea about what the outcome of that research is going to be than you do. That's by its very nature original research. A very different sort of education from professional-oriented education, very exciting, very different, longer in duration, and very much built on an apprenticeship model, particularly once you finish your coursework. Now, you vary widely in ages. One of the complaints that universities often receive is provosts and others hear disproportionately from the undergraduate students. Well, I can promise you one thing. There's at least one graduate student that I get a lot of input from. My wife is a Doctor of Nursing practice student with an expected graduation date of May of 2016, and I promise you, I do hear a lot about her graduate education. But GW is among that set of universities. Actually, we actually have more graduate students than undergraduates. And so we do focus very much on providing you with an extraordinary educational experience. One of the things I tell the undergraduates when they arrive here is even more true, though, for you as graduate students. I tell undergraduate students that a great education comes from a partnership. We, the university's leadership, faculty, and staff, of course, have to provide you with as many high-quality opportunities as we can. But the truth is, even for undergraduates, the value of the education they get depends in no small measure on how they proactively seek that education. But for graduate students, it's even more true. This graduate education will, to be a great extent, what you choose to make of it. Don't settle. Great advice. Ask questions. Push. You may have experiences, some of you who are not coming to us right from undergraduate, at least those who do, even those do, you may have experiences that your faculty don't have. One of the things, for example, I hear consistently for our faculty who have the opportunity to teach our returning veteran students, which we have many, is that those returning veteran students have life experiences that most of the faculty don't, and most of the other students don't. They add tremendous value. Don't be afraid to speak up in class. Don't think that necessarily what the faculty member said, if you have questions, is not questionable. The value you will get from your education will be from those questions in no small measure. The other value of your education will come from your peers. One of the great things about having an enormously heterogeneous student body among our graduate students is that the person sitting next to you, or the person eating lunch with you, your fellow students may have experiences that you haven't had and that your faculty member hasn't had, the person teaching your course hasn't had. Talk to each other, learn from each other. One of my, and as a more personal story, I shared an office. I, of course, got a doctorate, so it was a longer experience than a master's degree. I shared an office as a graduate research assistant with 3 other doctoral students. It was in the basement of a building, sort of run-down building, which was sort of traditional, and we were in pretty close quarters because space was at a premium. And I can honestly say that the innumerable hours each of us spent talking to each other about our research, about our, some of us were teaching assistants, many of those conversations have led to very deep thoughts. We went through a shared experience, which some of you may have. Some of you may have research projects you need to formulate, even those in master's programs. Others, you are going to be writing doctoral dissertations. There will come a time when you just don't know what you want to write your dissertation about. It's a very unsettling time for doctoral students because you know you're doing well in the coursework, but the thesis looms large. All I can say is there's tremendous value to bouncing ideas off of each other. Even if the ideas, when they're first formulated, are sort of not fully formed, some of them are dumb ideas. I can honestly tell you I probably discussed several dumb ideas for my dissertation before I came upon an idea that both I, in retrospect, decided was a good idea. So don't be afraid to venture forth and talk about things that are half-formed. That's part of the great experience. For those of you who might be in online communities, which we have more and more, particularly at the graduate level, again, just because you're not physically in the same classroom doesn't mean you can't build collegial ties to each other and have those conversations. Reach out and touch each other and take advantage of your separate life experiences, the different insights you have. You'll find it be an incredibly rewarding part of your educational experience, and it will vastly improve the quality of what you learn and what you can do when you get out of here. I'd also thought, this is sort of the part of the speech to graduate students is, remember to get a life. You're here, studying will be loom large, you'll be taking classes, you'll be taking tests, but the other truth is that, you need to also fulfill other aspirations. By all means, for those of you who are new to Washington, or even those who've been here a long time, take advantage of all the city has to offer. If you find that you spent whatever time your graduate program lasts just on Foggy Bottom and never sort of got off campus to take advantage of Washington, D.C., you'll have missed one of life's great opportunities. It's a wonderful city. It's rich with cultural opportunities. And whether you're interested in theater or dance or art or museums or music, the number of opportunities in DC is spectacular. And even if you're on a short budget, for example, the Kennedy Center for the Performing Arts, which is about a 10 or 15-minute walk for us, for those of us who are on this campus. Every single day, 365 days a year, there's a free concert there. And it will vary. It'll be chamber music. It'll be, music from a country. It'll be choral music. It might be, anything from a children's performance to a school group to professionals. You can go online and find out what it is. 6 o'clock every single day in what's called the Millennial Stage. So lack of money is not an excuse for not getting off the campus and doing something that enriches you in other ways. Ultimately, you'll emerge here as the sum total of all your experiences. Some of those will happen in your classroom, some will happen with colleagues, and some should happen simply as a consequence of living in one of the great metropolitan areas in the world and one of the great nation's capitals of the world. So by all means, you should come out of here having worked hard, learned a lot, grown intellectually in many ways, and reflect back on it and say, my years as a graduate student at GW were transformational. I came in one way and I left better at many things, older, a bit wiser, more mature, more capable, and fully prepared to achieve all the aspirations both you have for yourself and we have for you. So with that, welcome to GW. We're really glad you're here. It is our obligation to give you the greatest range of opportunities possible, and it's your obligation to take the best advantage of those opportunities. I look forward to seeing you around campus. By all means, if you have ideas or thoughts or things you want to talk to me about, please do. Please stop me if you see me on the street, say hello, introduce yourself, drop me an email. I should say I read all my own emails. Love to hear from you. And again, welcome to GW.
Thank you, Provost Lerman. It is now my pleasure to introduce Jeremy Gosby, President-elect of the GW Alumni Association. Mr. Gosby is a two-time graduate of the George Washington University, having earned a BA in Political Science in 1998 and a Master of Business Administration in 2002. A longtime GW alumni volunteer, he has been a member of the GW Alumni Association Board of Directors since 2003. Jeremy is currently a Senior Vice President for Edelman, the world's largest public relations agency. Prior to that, he worked in communications for Direct Impact and as the campaign manager for New York State Assembly candidate and fellow GW alumnus Tony Saig. He also served for 4 years as the Director of Alumni Communications for GW. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Gosby to the stage.
Good evening. I'm Jeremy Gosby, and as you heard in that introduction, I've got 2 degrees from GW, so I guess that makes me a double colonial. I graduated from our Columbian College of Arts and Sciences as an undergrad and from the GW School of Business, so double welcome to everybody who's studying in those schools. I have the honor of serving as president-elect of the GW Alumni Association, and my role here today is to say on behalf of your Alumni Association, welcome to GW. And you might wonder why they've asked an alum to come talk to you. You guys are just getting started with your student experience, and I'm sure you're not thinking much about graduation right now. But even though you're just starting that journey, you're already part of an alumni family. And that family is 260,000 people who are spread all around the world and certainly all across this country. Include some pretty famous people. General Colin Powell is one that comes to mind, who's a fellow grad student, actually an MBA student just like me. And countless others, but also thousands and thousands of other alumni who have sat in the seats that you're sitting in today and taken the steps that you're about to take. They're in fields that span the entire spectrum, everything from law, humanities, business, education, medicine, you name it. There are GW alumni who have tread before you and entered those fields. So no matter what you've chosen to pursue or what you may choose to pursue as a student, There are alumni out there who can be a tremendous resource to you in your years. You're now a member, a lifelong member of that GW family, and being part of a family means supporting each other. So here we call that colonials helping colonials. It's the value that we talk about that means it's one of our core values, and it says that no matter where in the world you are, there are GW graduates out there that share a common bond with you and that are available to you as a resource and willing to share their time and expertise with you. To me, that means being willing to take a phone call from a student who's interested in learning about PR, or attending a networking event with alumni and students, or even making a contribution to a scholarship fund so that others can have the same opportunity that I did. I've seen countless examples over the years of alumni helping each other and helping students here at GW, and I hope to continue seeing many more with you. So what does Colonials Helping Colonials mean for you? Throughout your study here, you're going to have opportunities to connect with alumni, both the opportunities that are presented to you as formal opportunities, but also informal opportunities, whether that's networking events, guest lectures, connections through professors with alumni who've been in your programs, or even community service projects. I urge you to take advantage of all of those opportunities. Get to know alumni in your field. They're out there and they're happy to talk to you. You might think that people are too busy or don't have the time or don't want to hear from you, but I can tell you as somebody on the other end of that phone, it's always a really inspiring experience to hear from a student who's doing what I did however many years ago, and to be able to share a little bit of my knowledge to maybe help them along. So let me give you a little bit of homework. I know it's not your first class yet, and I apologize for that, but a couple things you should check out. Number one, take a look at the GW Alumni Association LinkedIn group. We have about 25,000 alumni connected there. We're one of the most active alumni organizations on LinkedIn. Take a chance to connect with that group and start identifying alumni who are active in your field. Similar to that, take a look at our Career Advisor Network. We have alumni who have all entirely self-selected to be contacted by students to talk specifically about career issues. That's available to you through the career centers in your various schools, so check that out as a resource. And be sure to check with your school career centers about other opportunities, whether it's events or mentoring opportunities. There are dozens of them, literally, here at GW, and so be sure to connect with all of them. Don't think this is something you ought to do just as you're about to graduate. Now is the time to start building those alumni connections. And you've heard others talk to you about the importance of connecting with each other and connecting with your faculty, and alumni are equally a piece of that. In just a couple short years, I'm going to be talking to many of you again at your commencement ceremony on the National Mall, and I hope that by then you'll agree that GW is definitely a really special place. So I'll be asking that you, in turn, give back to others who have provided for you by helping the next generation of students that comes behind you. Remember, it's all about colonials helping colonials. So on behalf of those 260,000 people in your new family of GW alumni, welcome to GW. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeremy. Upon entrance into the George Washington University, each incoming student is given a pin to mark the beginning of his or her academic pursuits. Despite your past educational experiences, the many places you come from, and the variety of programs you represent, this pin will serve as a common symbol of your connection to GW and a way to welcome you into our diverse community. I would now like to invite new graduate students, Leah Rapley and Ian Mulhern, and Assistant Director for Center for Student Engagement, Stephanie Servana, to join me on the stage to participate in the pinning ceremony. The image pictured on the pin appears in 3 places on the Foggy Bottom campus: Trustees Gate, Professors Gate, and America's Gate. Each leads into the heart of the GW campus. Atop each gate sits a book which features the letters GW and represents knowledge. Each day, thousands of students pass through these gates in pursuit of knowledge. Whether your graduate program is based on the Foggy Bottom campus or one of the many other campuses of the George Washington University, remember these gates' significance each day to you. Along with the other members of our community, the significance each day to you, along with the other members of our community. Pass through these gates in your individual pursuit of knowledge. Leah, who is pursuing a degree in international education, and Ian, who is pursuing a degree in higher education administration, will accept their pins on your behalf. Please wear your pins with pride as you represent the George Washington University in the workplace, as you conduct research, and long after you have completed your graduate degrees. Thank you, both of you. I would now like to introduce Dr. Peter Konwerski, Vice Provost and Dean of Student Affairs. Dr. Konwerski is the Chief Student Affairs Officer for GW. His diverse portfolio serves GW undergraduate, graduate, and professional students. In addition to his administrative work, Dr. Konwerski holds academic appointments in the Graduate School of Education and Human Development and the Columbian College of Arts and Sciences. Dr. Konwerski earned his bachelor's degree in human services, master's degree in higher education administration, and doctorate in education and human development, all from GW. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Konwerski to the stage.
So this would make my mom especially proud. I'm going to give you your first lesson. Any Latin scholars in here? Anybody? Raise your hand. We just heard the pinning portion of the program, and I want to welcome you into my alma mater, hopefully be your alma mater. The phrase alma mater conjures up the spirit of nourishing mother. And in that spirit, I want to just make a few remarks for you because our role in student affairs is to really make you feel welcome and part of this community. And I want to use this ceremony actually as kind of testament to that. Probably about 5 or 6 years ago, we had a group of graduate students who actually came to the university and said, you know, we're not doing enough to build graduate community. And this ceremony became the outgrowth of that. The ceremony was designed to start to welcome graduates into the community. And I think what you heard from the provost and our 2 student speakers, this is a community. This is a group of people that are here to care for you and support you, and we are looking out for your best interests, and obviously we want to do everything in our power to support your experience here. So I want to just make a few comments about that because while this is and will be your alma mater, this is a place that we want you to feel connected and comfortable and begin to engage. And for me, as the Dean of Student Affairs, I was really touched by our 2 student speakers who gave remarks about taking risks and never settling. And that same spirit is pervasive. We don't want you to sit back, and if you see something, we want to hear from you. We want you to tell us, what can we do better? What can we improve upon? Likewise, Jonathan, I appreciate your comments on public service, fighting for the rights of others. That is so much a part of our namesake, George Washington's vision for an institution here founded in the nation's capital. We talk about this all the time in terms of our strategic plan, preparing future citizen leaders. And I think what's exciting for us is you come from so many different places to this place to study, to learn, to acquire new knowledge. But you also, as you heard from Jeremy say, will go on to some amazing places beyond DC, beyond Washington, beyond the U.S., and you'll serve as citizen leaders in your home countries or in other parts of the world, as we heard. As we continually build community, I want to just reflect a little bit about my graduate experience. As you heard, this was a great place for me, and I've continued to be supported by my colleagues, many of whom I connected with in my master's, and then as I continued on into a doctoral program. Those relationships, really, as the provost mentioned, they started with a great faculty. They started with friendships, they started with mentoring, they started in office hours, they started in class debate and discourse, and even the comment, don't listen to everything your professors say. Feel free to exchange and present your arguments. For me, they also began with the relationships I had with the students I was studying with. I was fortunate in my master's and again in my doctorate to spend time with students who continually were challenging me. And for many of you, you may be in a cohort-based program. A lot of those programs are designed to make sure you have a peer group, you have a community, you have a sense of common purpose. You're all moving toward a similar goal. So I would encourage you to take advantage of that. So maximize the relationships with your peers and maximize the relationships with the institution, starting first with your faculty, continuing on with the staff in your department and in your school. And I'll give you a little known secret. The people, the administrative staff who are working behind the scenes are the people who are going to make things they're going to get things done on your behalf. So treat them well. They're here. There's no one who's prouder than to see our graduates walk across the stage. And it's an image of every one of our students has is sort of sitting at the National Mall and looking at the Capitol and the monument. And knowing that staff and faculty behind the scenes really help them achieve that degree. So make sure you maximize that, those relationships with those people. Likewise, I also want to encourage you, it's a difficult role, being a graduate student, as the provost referred to. It's a difficult role balancing, many of you are balancing work and professional and family and friends and your research and your scholarship and your classwork time. And I encourage you to think about, make sure you take time for yourself. As you heard the provost say, have a life, take time for yourself. That also means self-care. And that's a second example. I will credit our student leaders for this. We've been spending a lot of time on this campus focused on student health and wellness. In fact, the president likes to talk about a healthy campus. We want to be a campus where we endorse health and wellness and the nurturing of our community. And one way we're doing that, and that's a sort of kind of foreshadowing for you, when you guys come back in the spring semester, we'll have relocated and co-located all of our student health and wellness services in one location. And that's actually been as a result of the discussion of student leaders who've advocated for that to make it simpler, more centralized, and really integrate our services. So that's an example, like this graduate welcome. We heard from students and we look to continue to respond. And as the university continues to build for its future, we look forward to the engaged discussion with you about how we can continue to make GW a better place. The last thing I want to just mention to you are the ways in which you can take full advantage of university resources. And while many of the resources might be directly under the Division of Student Affairs, there are also resources just here to help. So I want you to think about that, and my advice would be, get into the library on a regular basis. But don't just go to the library, get to know the librarians. Get to know the various staff who are working in various offices. And those people, whether it's in veteran services or multicultural services or international services or disability support services, all of those offices and units on campus, including what you heard from Andrew, our Center for Student Engagement, are here to get you connected, help you feel plugged in. And like we tell our undergraduates, when you get unplugged, and you do, we all get unplugged. In fact, I actually, personally, I use this as a prop for me, but this power cord is what I need every single day. I'm always draining my battery. We all drain our batteries. So get plugged in, or if you need help, get plugged back in. And there are people here to help. So I want to just say that as your dean of students, as sort of the person on campus that's going to be working with you in terms of your life outside the classroom, we're here to help and make sure you have success in and out of the classroom. With that, I do want, you've been sitting for a while, I'm going to do a quick poll here. We have our master students, just give a shout out. Yeah? How about our doctoral students? A little smaller. This is just a little warm-up before you break. How about just a little bit of recognition for our military and veteran students, those who have served our country or other countries, those who have served abroad. Can we hear from some of you? All right. I want to be among the first to welcome you and thank you for your service, no matter the country. Thank you for your commitment to the work that you did. How about our international students? Just a warm welcome. All right, good to hear. Let me do one other thing. This is a personal preference for me. We're going to do Facebook folks versus Twitter folks. Let me hear from our Facebook folks. And our Twitter followers. Smaller, interesting. All right. And lastly, we'll do this in terms of your photographic experiences. Those of you capturing on Instagram. And how about on Snapchat? All right, interesting. Well, I will say it's sort of a personal passion of mine. I'm at GW Peter K. And as your Dean of Students on Twitter, I look forward to being in touch with you, connected with you, and following your Only at GW moments as we continue to support you. So I'm going to turn the program back over to Andrew. Congratulations and welcome.
Thank you, Dr. Konworski. This concludes the 2014 Graduate Welcome Ceremony. Welcome to GW. I would like to invite all of you to join us downstairs in the lower lobby outside for our reception. Due to weather, we did move it inside. Please be patient as food will be arriving shortly as we've had to change locations due to the weather. So welcome, and as you're walking out, you will hear the GW fight song. Thank you.